Namaste and welcome to the 76th episode of TeaTalk. This is your Dr.Shilu. Today again I have an amazing guest. In this beautiful Sunday morning, he's all the way from UC Berkeley, a fifth year engineering PhD student, still in his 20s. And it fills my heart with so much joy and pride thinking about all these young people who decide to go towards academia and pursue their degree in research and whatnot. So he is doing his research in energy. And like talking about energy, yesterday I was attending a professional development and career task force in Dallas, Texas, where so many prominent speakers, engineers, they were talking about how Texas is rich in energy. And this guest today, he completed his undergrad from the University of Texas, Arlington, and currently he's working towards completing his PhD soon. So it's my honor to welcome Divya Chalis here on today's TeaTalk. Let's talk to him. Good morning, Divya. Welcome to TeaTalk.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh my God, you live in such a wonderful place, the state that I always wanted to visit. And I'm so envious that you are there wishing good morning while I'm in Texas in this 110-degree weather. Tell us about how's the weather there?
The weather is really nice. So few days has been a little hotter, but that's like nothing compared to Texas. It's around 80, 85 nowadays, but that's still uh, slightly hotter than what it used to be.
Right.
So in general, it's really nice.
And yeah, and you guys have that ocean there, the water there, and mountains there, everything there, right? So yeah, and I cannot even imagine being in the plain of Texas. So how do you feel being there, going to school there?
It's really nice in the sense that I get to go outside, I get to run, I get to hike and spend time with nature, and that's one of the reasons I do not want to leave California because there's pretty much everything here. As you said, ocean and mountains, so pretty much everything you'd expect from nature. Yeah.
Oh my God. So I'm very, very envious. And we'll talk about the hiking and running later because that is one part that is connected to my heart too. But when you talked about the mountain and ocean, why did you tell us about yourself, why you are there, what you are doing, and pretty much like I, who you are right now? I mean, there, what's your role?
So I'm doing my PhD right now. Currently in my fifth year, so hopefully this is my last year of PhD, and I'm working on energy sciences, especially focusing on battery research. So as you know, uh, we are facing energy crisis, and we are looking at new ways to store energy, new ways to produce energy, and batteries are one of the leading technologies in energy storage.
Right.
And I'm doing my small part in trying to improve batteries or trying to understand batteries better with my research.
See, what a humble way you put it. Well, I'm doing my small way. And for me, I mean, like coming from the social science background, like all the areas of engineering or research and science, those are like kind of like, I don't know, I can understand only in a vast term. So tell me, educate me about the research on battery as you are doing. So what you have to do, like what it is about, how it helps, and what role it plays to conserve energy or whatnot.
Yeah, so you might have heard about solar energy or wind energy or all these alternative forms of energy.
Right.
And one of the biggest downsides of those is that you only get those energies uh, when they are available to you. So they are not available at all the times. For example, for solar, you only get it during the daytime, whereas at night you wouldn't get it. So for those things, you need a form of energy storage. So
Right.
you'd want to store it somewhere. And right now, it looks like batteries are the only viable options for those energy storage. But as uh, as you might not know, or you might know that energy storage, especially in form of batteries, is very expensive, and
Okay.
that is because we don't understand batteries well. Because there are so many processes going inside batteries that make it very complicated to manufacture them or very complicated to implement them in a large scale. And one of the parts of improving that, or one of the parts of making batteries cheaper, is coming up with new materials, coming up with new technologies uh, that you can use to first make those batteries more efficient and also mass produce them easier. And so yeah, so in that sense, understanding these batteries is really important, not just like improving them, but first we need to understand them to improve them, right?
Right.
So my research is mostly about looking at these heat signatures, so trying to go a little more technical into that. So so let's say you're running a battery, it produces some heat. So my research is about, can we look into that heat and understand that battery better, in the sense that if it's producing a lot of heat, it means that something is going wrong in the battery. If
Oh,
it's producing less heat, it means that the battery is performing well. So looking at those heat signatures, can we find out how the battery is operating? And that leads to understanding batteries better, which hopefully will lead to making better batteries that are easier for energy storage. So that's the overall goal. But I wouldn't like to go into the actual techniques or the technical details, because that would confuse a lot of people. So yeah.
oh my God, oh my God. Yes. When you explain this in such a wonderful way, I can only think about the batteries that we use as a normal user, right? In everyday task and home. But you, as a research scientist, you are kind of saying that if it is producing more heat, there must be a cause. If it is producing less heat, there must be a cause. And
Right.
the man behind it. So so hats off to you for what you are doing, because these are some of the areas that are non-comprehensible, not only for me, but for many other people, right? So now tell us about some of the choices that you made coming to this point where you are doing research in this battery and that area. I mean, engineer as an engineering student, fifth year, almost ready to finish it, right? So tell
Mhm.
us about your starting point from your school days to this day. So why engineering, why science, and why not other?
So pretty much echoing what my brother said in his talk a few days back. Yeah, from a young age itself, we started doing, or we started mainly. I don't know if he mentioned this, but we used to watch a lot of National Geographic and other science shows, not so much on the animals part, but on these like small home experiments where you could grab things from your home and try to replicate some results. So we started doing that from a very young age, which made us technically inclined into doing science. But later on, when we started exploring more into the theories and the actual reasonings behind those experiments, it became even more interesting, in the sense that once you understand what you're doing, it makes you more connected to that.
Yes.
So that started from a very young age. And also something that my brother didn't mention was the influence of our grandfather. And as you might have known that he was a very technical person, like anything that uh, like from home appliances to like electrical connections in the house, he would fix them. And we got to learn from him, and that kind of carried over. And that was this early influence to us in terms of all these technicalities. uh, and later on, so high school and all, it was pretty much straightforward, in the sense that we pretty much did what we're told to do, which
Mm.
is just follow the school curriculum, do well on it. And of course, like, we tried to uh, do a little extra with small science experiments and whatnot. But the biggest difference came when we came here for our undergrad, because we got to explore a lot more in our undergrad, especially in terms of starting with research. Because usually, uh, when you start your undergrad, people do not really, most people do not really start with research right away. For me, I was lucky, and also I have to credit my undergraduate advisor as well, that he gave me this opportunity to start with research right away. So I started with research from my first not sure if it was the first semester, but second semester. Anyways, my first year itself, I was in a lab and I was working on batteries, which is what I'm doing right now as well. So that was my first or second semester in my undergrad, and that continued. And yeah, so started learning experimental techniques, started learning theories behind. So everything became more and more interesting as I studied more, and now I am here doing my PhD in batteries, and it's ever so interesting because the more you learn, the more interesting and more yeah, it is challenging, but yeah, more enjoyable it becomes as you learn more.
How wonderfully you put it. And yeah, again, I mean, your brother, he didn't mention that, he forgot to maybe, but it's so uh, like gratifying experience to recall and connect all those small dots to bring who
Yeah.
you are today, right? I mean, it's small
Uh-huh.
things like that, but how it influences us, I mean, by seeing, by hearing, and not only by studying. So yeah, that's a great point. And having said that, I mean, since we talk a little bit of family along with career in this platform, so tell us, I mean, you are twin brothers, right? And both of you are doing like a pursuing science as your, I mean, academic career. So having two scientists in one roof, under one roof, that must be a very proud thing for your parents, as proud I am, right? So having said that, and as you mentioned that you and your brother kind of work together, like whether watching the National Geographic Channel or working with some appliances in home and doing the conversation. So how it feels having a twin brother, because many times, I mean, they're like friend to look for, and if they have the matching, I don't know, ideas, mindset, and the level, right, or not. But how it feels like having a brother who shares the similar interests and also the uh, intelligence, I would say.
Yes. So to summarize that, I'd say I wouldn't be here if I didn't have a twin brother who had very similar interests. It's not just about having an influence, but honestly, even nowadays we talk like at least half an hour purely about research, purely about technicalities of research. It's not just about research ideas, but about how to do a particular experiment or how to solve a particular problem. So, and we do that every day. And yeah, so to say that I would be what I am right now, or uh, yes, or to just even to imagine pursuing this field, I think it wouldn't be true if it wasn't for my brother. Yeah.
How wonderful that is. So how about friends? How about friends? I mean, do you have like common friends, like both of you, or uh,
Yeah, so we do have a lot of common friends. Uh, Usually from table tennis, though not from science. We have few friends from science or from our research fields that we both know, but most of our friends are from table tennis. And it's not just true that our mutual friends are from table tennis, but our our general friends, like friends in general, are from table tennis itself, because that's usually where we socialize. That's usually where we find people outside our field. So yeah, I'd say that.
Again, tempted to integrate a fun question again, because as you mentioned that you and your brother talk at least half an hour every day about the research, right? The technical part and whatnot. So do you guys ever talk about the girls, if you guys want to date the twin girls or not?
Not really, no. We're kind of discussing this last week, where we said that we kind of agreed that 80% of the times we talk about research, and 20% of the time we talk about table tennis,
So
and
there,
literally not. literally nothing else, not even about life or others in general. Uh, when talking to our parents and others, we talk about other things, but talking to ourselves, literally nowadays, it seems so boring that it's 80% research, 20% paper, and it's nothing else.
Oh my God, poor girls, because they would love to have such amazing scientists, the very intelligent, good-looking guys for them. So poor them. It's too bad for them. Okay, let's move to that other question. Tell us about your hobby. As you mentioned that you love to tennis, play tennis, and your brother too, right? But alongside, you mentioned a little bit about running or hiking because you are in such a beautiful place. So tell us about your everyday routine, what you do to, I mean, alongside your research, like
Yeah,
80%.
so yeah, table tennis I don't need to mention because my brother mentioned as well, and yeah, I do that and try to play at least twice a week for 4 or 5 hours. So that's a usual thing. Also running. So I didn't used to enjoy running because previously I used to run in inside gyms, and that didn't used to be as much fun. But after the pandemic, because the gyms closed and even playing other sports was difficult, I started running outside, and I realized that the California weather is so nice, and all the environment itself is really nice. So I nowadays I enjoy running a lot. So I try to run at least 3 4 times a week. Uh, listening to music and running, or just thinking, or even like calling my brother, calling my parents while running. So it's yeah, it's a really enjoyable experience, and I didn't know that I would like running this much, but nowadays I like it a lot. And also hiking, of course. Northern California is really beautiful because there are mountains, there's sea, and I don't get to go out hiking as much as I'd like to, but every time I do, I enjoy it a lot. And I even have like some friends in the Bay Area that connect over, that I call, and then we go for hiking. So yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so envious, so envious because I love to run. And like last year, June is my birthday month. So last year, I started on like going to the mountains of Colorado, and we spent 1 month just purely hiking and running and whatnot. And now we are mentioning about hiking in such beautiful place, mountain and water at the same time. So uh, how blessed you are continuing
Yeah,
this
I really feel
career,
blessed to
right?
be here. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So tell us about the like give us some message or the tips to the generation, to your generation, to the students, or I mean young people like you who want to pursue their career in engineering, and like what are some of your ideas or thoughts to them for the
Yeah,
science students?
yeah, I listened to my brother's interview, and I kind of agree with what he said in the sense that everybody has their own individuality, and everybody has to find their own way. So in that sense, I wouldn't be the right person to give advice to everyone, but of course there are like certain general things that might apply to everyone. One I've realized is hard work is always underrated. So people say that three things influence your uh, success, or in general, like where you are. The three things, in my opinion, as well, are hard work, luck, and talent.
Hmm.
But I think hard work is something that can overcome talent or luck. Uh, and so in that sense, I think that's the most important factor, because of course you can be lucky and you can have all the opportunities that you wanted. So there's that, but if you don't work hard, you can't capitalize on those opportunities. So that's the first thing. And also, if you work hard, you of course open up new opportunities. So in that sense, it lets you overcome that. The other thing is talent. So there's a lot of debate between what's more important, like natural talent or hard work. And yeah, so I'd like to compare these two amazing footballers. Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. And I know that there is a lot of debate between who is the best player.
Right,
If you
right.
ask, if you ask everyone, they'd say that, or they'd have different answers. But there's one thing that you cannot deny is this guy named Cristiano Ronaldo works a lot harder, and everybody agrees that naturally he is much less talented than Messi. But then now we still have this debate that they are almost equal or one is better than other. It doesn't really matter, but the fact that somebody can overcome that talent with so much of hard work just testifies to the fact that uh, without talent or with less talent, you can always overcome it with hard work. Of course, you cannot be so you have to capitalize on some of your talents. That's for sure. Because if Cristiano Ronaldo is playing some other sport, he might not be as good. So he was talented in football, but then he made up so much of that talent, or he made up for so much of lacking of that talent with hard work. So you have to capitalize on what you're good, but then of course push yourself up with a lot of hard work. That's
Was
I think.
always Ronaldo supporter, so thank you for saying that.
Thanks. Yeah.
That's a great example. Thank you for sharing that. Yesterday in Texas, Dallas, there was one of the professional development and career task force, and I was part of it, and where many researchers, like PhD professors, doctors, all were we were kind of talking about how we can mentor or guide or be the resource for the upcoming students or whoever are kind of in the path of changing their career or pursuing their career, and we're talking about that. So, in that context, putting that in context, so what are some of the areas you think that would have helped you in your beginning journey as an international student, right? We all are here in the US, like with some of the goals, some of the choices that we have made. And so, what are some of
Mhm.
the important factors for the international students who want to pursue their education in this STEM field?
Yeah. So one thing I'd like to add, or I'd like to point out, is in our childhood or growing up in Nepal, I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing, but we did not have these schools where, or schools or programs that would promote like special talents. So here we see, I mean, especially in the Bay Area or in California, I see a lot of these like schools for gifted kids, or schools promoting specific talents, maybe for sports or academics. So I think that would have been a lot more helpful, because in schools we're kind of saturated in the sense that we're asked to study a specific curriculum, and everybody would be put into studying the same curriculum. And if you're already good at those things, you really don't have anything extra to study. So you don't even realize that there's so much more out there in the world. And yeah, that thing, if I was like, if those things were there, I think I'd have a lot more coming into my undergrad. Because eh, at my or actually when I started my grad school, when I started meeting these people from all over the world who were like so much better than what I had, or so much better than even me, because I hadn't really interacted with people who were like really talented and really hardworking before starting my grad school. Because usually it was mostly like I was pretty much like or even my brother and I were pretty much like the best students in our school, or even in undergrad. So when we started meeting these people in grad school, we started realizing that we missed out on so much, because we are not prepared for this, mainly because we didn't even know what existed out in the world. So yeah, so a message for like anyone, or for even for parents, is that try to, if you know that your kids are talented, try to push them a little bit extra from just the schoolwork, or what's absolutely required for them, because that would make them more adapted to more challenges that might that they might actually enjoy, because many times, yeah, if you're pushed into the same curriculum, you pretty much don't know what's out there. So that's, yeah.
That sure is a great point. And like even me as a parent, I would like to thank you for the tips, because I can utilize same to my kid who is in grade 11, right? Almost ready to step into the college path. And so thank you for that. Yes, sometimes a little bit push from the parents are needed, right? And one other point that I really love the way you are putting it here, and your brother also mentioned in his interview as well, is because both of you have been so talented, and even though like you are considered, you are the best student, but still not kind of like getting, I don't know, the idea to put or expose in other areas in classroom per se, right? That is kind of like it takes some time or energy to be out there and to communicate and find what are out there, the
Uh-huh.
plethora of things that is existed out
Yeah.
there, right? So yeah, that's a great point. Thank you for sharing that. And one other thing I would like to ask you is, uh, when new students, like right from high school, I mean, you have continued from undergrad to PhD direct, but so many students who want to complete their high school, but they are kind of uh, debating like which school to go, where to apply. So in that sense, how is UC Berkeley? Like what are the acceptance rate, and like why people should choose there, and if they can get there if they are not very talented. So those are some of the questions I got in community, as much I get in regular basis in university as well. So give us some idea, how diverse is UC Berkeley?
So I can't really speak too much about the university in general, because my experience has only been limited to grad school, which is I heard is much more intense than yeah, it's much more intense and it's much more focused. So you get to explore a lot less than in undergrad. Whereas
Right.
in undergrad, you first don't even have to declare your major, which means that you get to take a lot of different classes and figure out what it's best for you. Whereas in grad school, you already know what you came here for, and you're always directed towards that goal. So in that sense, for any undergrad who's trying, I'd say just be open to ideas, take different classes, try to learn what you'd want to pursue, at least your degree, or higher education, or grad school if you want to. But yeah, in general, I'd say that this is a great school in that sense that of course, the teachers and the faculties are pretty much the best in the world. So you are always learning from the best people, and also the I yeah, of course, again, I can't relate to the undergraduate experience, but with what I've heard, it's really competitive in the sense that all the students are trying to or the teachers are trying to get the best out of all the students, and even all the students are trying their best. So I see a lot of undergrads packing libraries and spending hours and hours before exams. So I feel like it's a very competitive undergraduate environment, which is kind of different from my undergrad, because it was a lot more relaxed, and yeah, so that's one of the differences I see in the undergraduate population in here. Uh, but yeah, I can't really speak for them because yeah, I didn't have that experience. But in general, I'd say if you like learning, this is one of the best places to be.
Of course, and people look up to UC Berkeley, right? And you are doing PhD there, so how how proud all your family members are, right? And so one fun thing that I wanted to ask, because you are in the energy sector doing the research and talking about car, tell us like Tesla or other, because Tesla is a big name now, right? When it comes to energy. So tell us about that.
But Tesla is just a brand name, so I wouldn't like to promote a brand. But
Yeah,
in
because
general,
person with limited knowledge, that is the only thing that comes to my mind, right? Like in
yeah, in general, we know that a lot of car companies, even the traditional car companies, are moving towards electric vehicles, and that is, of course, a required change now, because we know that with all these climate problems, it's a obvious choice. It's an obvious transition. Personally, with the knowledge of batteries, I think that we are still 4 or 5 years, uh, hopefully not 10 years short of actually competing with the gasoline cars, but hopefully within half a decade, all the electric vehicles would be as good as competitive as the gasoline vehicles. So I think we can make that change within 5 years itself. And yeah, it seems realistic with my knowledge right now. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. And we are almost coming to the end of this talk. But one thing I would like to know from you or ask you is why do you think that people like young generation, new generation should be aware more about energy and that science, and why it is needed, why it is important?
So we've heard a lot of news about global warming, and when the temperatures wouldn't be acceptable for the planet to be habitable, and people are saying that, and there are like good scientist projections that by 2040 we should decrease with this rate, the temperature of earth by 2040 would rise by 2 degrees celsius on average, and that would create almost uninhabitable changes on earth. So to stop that, or to prevent that, we need to transition to uh, other energy sources away from fossil fuels, which produce carbon dioxide. And so in that sense, this is a problem that we have in our hand itself. Just like COVID, with 2 years ago, we had that problem in our hand that we needed to solve right there at that moment. So we, so as scientists and biologists and public health professionals struggled with that for 2 years. Global warming actually is a long term problem, but still a problem in hand. So if we're looking at 2040, we should solve everything by 2030 itself. So if somebody is trying to get into this field, this is probably the most correct time to come into this field, because we have a very big and a very relevant problem to solve. And as a scientist or as an engineer, if you can contribute to that, of course, like there wouldn't be a single problem, a single person solving global warming, but it would be a collection of scientists, a collection of, of hardworking, brilliant minds that can solve this problem together. So anyone who's interested in that field, uh, I'd like to say that this is probably the best time to come into this field.
I'm glad I asked this question because you explained it very, very well. And that is, there is a need, right? And it's a collective obligation for so many people out there, right? So, yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful. And is there anything that I forgot to ask or you wanted to share through this platform? Because it's such a informative and enriching journey for me personally, and so many audience that who are listening to us. Any message, any final words that you would like to share that I forgot to ask?
Not really. I mean, I think we've pretty much covered everything that we plan to cover, and yeah, it was a really good experience sharing my thoughts, and thank you for inviting me as well.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And any message to the parents, the proud parents who have like two scientists under a roof? So, what you want to say to them?
Always thankful to my parents, and always thankful for the support they give me, and the confidence they have on me and my brother. So yeah, I really can't thank them more.
Thank you so much. And yeah, my wishes are with you. And yeah, just keep on signing. And we all are proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.